This is a king bed. It is so big. I did not think they had king beds here. Hi everybody, welcome again to the Divorcee Diaries. If you don't know me already, I'm Jacqueline Bell and I'm a divorcee. I'm also a person and I love traveling and I love sharing knowledge about my travels, but also about how to navigate the divorce process. So today I'm going to talk to all of you about Costa Rica. Now, I know I said it like that. I really don't, but Costa Rica, as many of you know, if you watched my previous video that I just sent out last week about my excursions for the next couple months in Latin America, I am kicking off my Latin American solo trip here, or not here, because I'm actually not in Costa Rica. In Latin America, I am kicking it off in Costa Rica. And I was in Costa Rica for 2 weeks, not in the same place. I went to Jaco and San Jose. And today I'm going to talk to you all about San Jose, which, come to find, a lot of people usually end up skipping because they want to go and see all the nature and everything that the beautiful bi-coastal Costa Rica has to offer, which is wonderful. I'll definitely talk about that a little bit in my vlogs today. But what I want to talk to all of you about is basically giving you all everything you need to know: where to stay, what to do, where to fly into, what currency do they use, what did I like, what did I not like so much. So I cannot wait to tell all of you about that, especially since it's my first country on my trip. So without further ado, let's get into it. I started in Costa Rica because it was the closest in proximity to the US that I wanted to go to and check out. And what I really loved about and had challenges with, I'll definitely share at the end. But first I want to go through some logistical things for all of you that just need to know what to do, how to get to Costa Rica and do so in a good way. So where to stay in San Jose, Costa Rica, more specifically, which is the largest city and the main city in Costa Rica, where a lot of city life happens. It's the big city in Costa Rica. There's a lot to do, and I stayed in particularly 2 specific places because to all of my solo travelers, especially my solo female travelers, as you know, safety is of the utmost importance. When you follow me, you will know that is like my thing. So I stayed in 2 different Airbnbs in the 2 weeks that I was in Costa Rica. And that's because I wanted to get a different feel while I was switching to this digitally nomadic lifestyle, because I am still working full-time at my full-time job while also doing all of this and exploring the different places that I'm in. So where I stayed in Costa Rica, I stayed in 2 different neighborhoods. One was called Rohrmoser. And Rohrmoser is a fantastic upscale neighborhood, I would say. And it's very, very quiet. I stayed in an Airbnb for both of these the stays that I'm going to mention to you, and it was just beautiful. So San Jose is in the valley in between the mountains. So if you have a high-rise hotel room or high-rise Airbnb condo, then you're gonna get beautiful views, and that's exactly what I got at both of the areas that I stayed at. It was beautiful, and they were both under, I think both under $75 a night. It was amazing, and I had ample room. I had probably the biggest flats that I had rented so far in my journey in Latin America in Costa Rica, and they were fairly inexpensive within San Jose specifically. You're gonna find it to be very inexpensive. So with Rohrmoser, I really loved it. It was quiet, but there wasn't a lot going on there. So if you are looking for a neighborhood to stay in that is quiet and has, that's safe, I would say, definitely check out Rohrmoser. For my friends that want a little bit of engagement and want to meet people, want to be around younger people, and have a lot of restaurants and an eclectic culture and things like that to stay at, then you probably want to stay in Escalante. Escalante, well, so when I stayed in the area, I actually stayed in Los Yoses, which is right across the street from Escalante, if you look in the map. But Escalante was right across the street after this big highway, and it was perfect. I was able to walk around. I walked around at night, which I never do unless I feel absolutely safe, and it was just fine. It was perfectly fine. In my opinion, it was perfectly fine, and there were just lots of things to do, things to eat, places to shop, things to see, and you can still actually walk all the way down to the center of the city where the central market is and where a lot of the shopping and a lot of the arts and a lot of the main attractions are in the city. They're all kind of in that city center. So, and it's in walking distance from there. So my opinion is if you are in San Jose, stay in Escalante or Los Yoses, where I was, but near Escalante and Rohrmoser. So essentially Escalante and Rohrmoser. Those are my two recommendations. Those are where I stayed and where I recommend, and I will put where I stayed, the specific Airbnbs that I stayed in the comments below. So next, currency and payments. So in Costa Rica, almost everywhere took cards, which is great. The currency in Costa Rica is Costa Rican colones, and you can easily get cash if you need at any ATM. There's ATMs ATM in the airport, ATMs in the grocery stores, ATMs. There are ATMs, or ample ATMs, so you will not have an issue finding an ATM there. And if you ever need extra money, you can just use your debit card and pull out cash, and that's fine. The only times I really needed to use cash was when I wanted to go down to like the supermarket, because the central market and the local markets they don't take cards usually. So if you want your empanadas, your local fruits, you're gonna need some cash. So, but otherwise, all the restaurants take cards. I never had an issue with them not taking cards. So you can look forward to them accepting that. Now, safety. I always like to talk about safety, and I like to do a rating for myself. So on a scale of 1 to 5, where does Costa Rica fall? I would say a 4, a strong 4, because there are sketchy areas that you should not go. But there are also really nice areas, and if you stay within those areas like Rohrmoser and Escalante and nicer in Los Yoses, you're gonna be okay. But you want to make sure you stay in in places with lots of people. I can say that. So that's what I'll say. Do not stay in the central downtown area at night. It's just usually abandoned because a lot of the local people that work there during the daytime, they all move outside of the city to go home because it's very expensive to live in the center of the city. So you do not want to be downtown anytime at night. It's just sketchy, and there's not that many people there, so do not go, in my opinion. But overall, for safety, I felt very safe in San Jose, which I think is atypical from what other people think, but I felt very safe there. Okay, so when I flew into San Jose, I flew into SJO, the Juan Santamaria International Airport. There's also another big airport in Costa Rica, if those of you want to go to it, the Tamarindo area, which is very, where a lot of tourists go. You get a lot of wildlife, you get a lot of nature, you get a lot of beaches. That is, you'll want to fly into LAR, Liberia, and that'll take you to that west area of Costa Rica, which is what I've heard really nice. I have not gone there yet. It's for another time in Costa Rica. Transportation. Let's talk about transportation. So it's fairly easy to get around. Uber is everywhere. I never had a problem with getting an Uber, which was wonderful. You can also do taxis, but of course, as everyone will tell you, an Uber is very cheap and easy to access. So if you're coming from outside the airport, what I didn't know is that you have to kind of walk across to this like parking lot area at the front of the airport to access your Uber. But honestly, I just accessed it right in front of the airport. whatever. You're not supposed to do that, but whatever, I did it and it was fine. And thing to note about Uber, it's actually illegal in Costa Rica, which is why when you go into an Uber, they ask you to sit in the front, because if you sit in the front of an Uber, it looks like you're just family or you're friends, and it's not like a taxi cab feel, because you're not a customer in the back seat, you're in the front seat now. So if they tell you sit in the front, that's fine. That's why they're asking you to sit in the front. It's okay. I did not take public transportation on my trip to Costa Rica because I just didn't feel safe doing so as a woman by myself that's not completely fluent in Spanish. So about my favorite subject, which is food. Oh my gosh, y'all, I loved the food. So I love these empanadas. I kept going back to these empanadas. They were delicious. They were crunchy. They were like really flat and fried, and they're amazing. I highly recommend them. I went down to the Central Market to get them, and they were just out of this world. Also the tamales. The tamales are different. They're not wrapped in corn husks as I'm used to. They are wrapped in banana leaves, which is very interesting, and I really liked that. I was like, oh, look at these tamales. I also really thought it was interesting when I was doing my food tour that they are very, the people are very simple and solve a lot of things on their own. So what I mean is they have ceviche that they will put inside a bag of just chips. That way you can have your chips and ceviche all in the bag and you can just eat it from the bag. And that was just, I thought that was so ingenious because it's so simple. And I'm like, of course, because if you want to take it away, how are we going to take it away? You go and you put it in the bag of chips that you just opened for your ceviche. It was perfect. It was great. And it was delicious. And the fruit in Costa Rica is just amazing. I ventured out into the local Central Market, which is very different. Well, not very, it's pretty different from the Central Market that everybody knows about. It is very, like the local market is just 3 blocks down the street from the Central Market. It's very good and has the most amazing fruit. The fruit that's not all fruit that's available in the local market was available at the Central Market. So I had to go find this market again and get this amazing yellow fruit that I forgot the name. I'll put in the notes when I find it, but it was amazing. And I bought many of them because they were really yummy. And I ate them all the time. So good. So as far as the food's concerned, I give it a 10 out of 10. It was great. Lovely food, great. Activities. So I did some amazing activities in Costa Rica. One was a food tour. I highly recommend it. It's on Airbnb experiences. Well, all I'm gonna share is pretty much on Airbnb experiences. It's a history, culture, and food tour. I cannot speak more highly about it. You walk around the city, especially the center of the city, and you get to go to all these different restaurants, all these different food stalls, and get to try everything. And I just had the best time. I had a great facilitator, and he shared everything with me. They speak English, and he shared every kind of bit of tips that they had for the area, what to avoid, why certain things are like they are in Costa Rica and whatnot. It was just really good to get a personal local perspective, and it was really helpful for me, especially in the beginning of my trip. So what I would recommend is doing some type of food tour or history culture tour or city tour, whatever it is. In the very beginning of your trip was what I like to do for myself, so that you can get accustomed to the food, but also get accustomed to the cultures and understanding why things are the way they are. I also attended, this is like the first kind of a unique experience I've ever seen like this, but I attended a chocolate making class and I had the best freaking time. It was so awesome and it's great. Like I made amazing chocolate, 100% dark chocolate. It was delicious. It was divine. Also, I did a nature tour in the city, which was amazing. This is Costa Rica for you. They have nature everywhere, and nature is abundant and it's fruitful, and there's all these animals. And I was able to see a sloth, in the middle of the city, because the university that's in the big university in Costa Rica, I think it's the University of Costa Rica, you have wildlife that's preserved within the campus. So we were able to go with tour guides to go bird watching, but also learn about the insects and the animals and the plant life within Costa Rica, within the campus. And we got to see sloths. It was wonderful. They're actually bigger than I thought. And I did not know all the information I know about sloths. Apparently they only come down from trees once a week to poop. Who would have thought? It's also the most dangerous time for them to come down, when they come down, because of course they can get run over by cars, eaten by predators, things like that. So no one really knows why they come down to poop. You know, just poop in the trees or something, but personal preferences, I guess. I also walked around a lot, especially in Escalante. I walked a lot around Escalante. It was just so wonderful to be around that area. Rohrmoser, again, there wasn't that much there, but I would walk around a little bit, but there's not that much there. So I would walk around just to get my daily dose of fresh air. But it was really nice. And so that's pretty much all that I want to share with you about Costa Rica. And now I want to share with you what I loved and some of my challenges. We'll start with the challenges that I had in Costa Rica. I don't speak Spanish fluently, and that is an issue. Not a big issue, because there's actually quite a few people within Costa Rica that have access to some Spanish, English, but not everyone. So it can be difficult at times, but quite a few people know English, which is really helpful, and especially, and it's not too surprising because Costa Rica is so close to the US, and there's a lot of expats, a lot of tourists that are not just US citizens, but also folks coming from the UK or Australia that come and visit as well. So English is pretty prevalent. It's also a bit more expensive than the other Latin American countries that I've been to. Not so much lodging, but for food, for activities, things like that. It was a bit more expensive than I found in other areas in Latin America. So just keep that in mind, because I think a lot of people think that it's so much cheaper in Costa Rica, and it's not so much cheaper for everything. And now what I loved about Costa Rica, many things. Nature is one. You gotta love nature. It's amazing, it's beautiful. I loved it. People go there for a reason. Usually people just go in and bypass San Jose. I don't think that's the way to go. I think San Jose has its own beautiful culture that you can really dive into. It doesn't need to be a week, but it is, I can see why some people would just want to skip San Jose and go straight into the Manuel, Antonio's, the Jacos, the Caribbean beaches, the Tamarindo area, because there's just so much nature in Costa Rica that's so beautiful. I love that it's so close to the US. It's very, very close. The proximity to the US is like amazing. It's like a 6-hour flight from the US. It's like 4 hours or so from, I think, Texas, if you're in the South. So it's very close. It's really, really nice. I really love that there was a lot of other tourists like me. So when I was doing tours, I would find a lot of other tourists that also were from the US or spoke English. And that really helped me a lot, because I was craving some English speakers after having like a week of not really speaking to anyone in English. And really trying to get through with my Spanish, which was not always great. So I really do like that there's a lot of English-speaking tourists. I also say they have pretty good internet, and as someone that works remotely, that was really important. So if anyone's interested, or if anyone's worried about internet, don't worry too much, because it's pretty good down there. And that concludes my overview of Costa Rica. I hope this helped you with your travels before you visit Costa Rica. I hope that you enjoy your time there. And if you haven't thought about going to Costa Rica, I hope you really do, because it's one of now my favorite places to go to. I definitely will be back, even though I was there for 2 weeks. 2 weeks was not long enough. I was also working during those 2 weeks, so 80 hours out of those 2 weeks had to be devoted to work. But it was still wonderful, it was beautiful, and I cannot wait to share with all of you about my time in Jaco, which was quite different. So I will catch you next time. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Thanks so much, and have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your day. Mwah. Bye.